What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And it has been, well, tech is alive, right? I mean, I'm just saying. Tesla finally woke again, and boy, did it wake, as did Spot. And they went flying today. So before we get started, remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you want more daily reviews, weekly updates, tutorials, anything, everything about the stock market. So with all that being said, what do we got going on this week? Tomorrow we got a big IPO. We have tons and tons of crypto stuff going on because of this Coinbase IPO that is coming out tomorrow. Now, typically for IPOs, they can essentially come out anywhere between, I believe it's about 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time till about 2:30 p.m. Is typically when an IPO is released. And as far as I'm aware, I think right now they have pricing for Coinbase at $200. So just be aware of that. In my opinion, if that's what you believe in, I think ultimately there's probably better ways to spend your money on actual coins themselves. But we're not here to discuss that. And this is not financial advice. Do what you want with your money. But nonetheless, that IPO is coming out tomorrow. So be aware of that. Also, today we had news on the J&J vaccine pause because of clotting happened today. So the market did pull back quite a bit this morning, but tech did not give in to the J&J news. There was, again, a quick sell-off on most things, but not all things. So that was something to keep in mind today, which was good. It was good to see tech with a strength. And then, like I said, Tesla just flew today, as did Spots. A couple of the other positions I have mentioned have really flown today, but we are not done. Tomorrow, we start getting bank earnings. Yes, some of the big ones tomorrow. We'll get it kicked off in the morning, and then we'll get some of the major players in after the bell tomorrow. So keep that in mind. This can really shift the market tomorrow. But let me quit talking here and actually pull up the chart so we can actually see what is going on here. Because today's been a big day. The two bigger movers we had today, again, were ones that I pointed out yesterday and plays that I was pretty much in already. So nonetheless, SPY, again, it continues to melt up. We are coming closer to this trend line. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to trend out Wednesday and Thursday into this line. Hopefully everything goes well with the banks. I don't really see anything bad happening with the banks. But being said, if we do break above this trend, we can really start going into price discovery and start ripping at that point, in my mind. And again, talking about everything I've led to this point, I've been talking about this for about a month and a half now, talking about this big bull run. We might just see this thing continue to just melt up. Yes, of course, there's going to be a correction and come back down. I think, though, this particular week, I think we will see a pullback on Friday, like our normal pullback, only to reload and get ready again for earnings next week. Again, our biggest earnings coming up are Netflix in 2 weeks, I believe, is the real biggest one coming up. So being said, again, we do have banks, which will kind of set the precedents for the rest of what's going on. So again, this continued slowly melt up on the SPY. The index is really hard to judge because you have a lot of individual stocks that are just completely tearing up and some that are completely crashing down. So there is a lot of disconnect between the index and what is actually going on. So as far as the index, I am currently not trying to watch the index too much, only because I think right now it's misguiding on what is going on. I think right now you need to focus more on individual stocks. Now, that being said, QQQ is continuing to rip. This thing is, you got to remember too that QQQ has also been consolidating for a month. This thing is going to continue to rip. I can see a lot more ripping in our future. Again, the past month we've done nothing, but we had that big dip, but that was last year. But we are continuing to do nothing but go sideways all last month, right? And so being said, I think we have a lot of room to run, although I do predict us on Friday having quite a bit of a pullback. I won't be surprised we continue to run again and then finally pull back to test the metal Bollinger Band on Friday, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, as far as the watch list, I've had a couple of them. I try to switch this up a little bit. Obviously, Tesla, because it has been continuing to rip. You have Spot, which had a huge run today as well. Actually got out of my spot position today. It was up a lot. Typically, when there's major parabolic moves and I'm in an option, I will typically sell that option and then we'll look to get back into it. Spot in itself had a huge parabolic move today, and so I got out of that. Airbnb, I think, is still good. Facebook, as much as it's ran, it still looks great on the daily. Twilio set up nice. These are all set up nicely on the daily, so that's one thing to keep in mind. I will try to keep these watch lists to the best setups on the daily. Again, some of them you do have to watch because of the fact that that next daily candle is something you got to look out for to see if it breaks at certain points, and that's typically what we try to go over here. So being said, Tesla, a massive move today. Again, I'm in shares in this parabolic move. I wasn't in options. I would have sold ultimately, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do gap up again tonight. I was waiting for a pullback to grab some calls on this, but it didn't quite pull back enough for me to get into it. So being said, I wouldn't be surprised we do pull back tomorrow. We have some kind of pullback tomorrow. This can't just go straight up like this into the next day. I mean, it could, but more than likely the chances are it won't. So I'm looking for this to try to pull back to the middle of Bollinger Band, at least attempt to hit that 20 and then continue on. I know when Tesla does get in these parabolic moves, it continues like this for a while. That's why I initially got in back here. I loaded a lot of shares back here to try to capture this going into earnings, because eventually once we get to earnings, it's going to be bigger, right? And then it starts hesitating. We might go up to the all-time highs again and then kind of hover around there till we get actual earnings to determine if we go up or down from that point. The next one I got is Spot. Spot had another parabolic move today. I did point this out yesterday. It broke above that, and we had this breakout. I captured all this. I did tag right out at this top candle here. I got out at 293 only because it pushed so much. I didn't want to stay in it, especially Spot, because it does pull back pretty hard. So I'm looking for another, same like Tesla, I'm waiting for it to come back to hit the 20 or the middle Bollinger Band to look for another entry on that one. Airbnb is the other one I got. This it had some bad news yesterday. Otherwise, I think this would have actually ripped out of here. Yesterday, towards the end of the day, we got that bad news that they were banning people from going. If you got a bad review, I think they were banning you or something like that. So it was, and then the vaccine news came out today, so we kind of sold off a little bit, bounced right back, and now it's actually looking perfect on here. So I do actually see this starting to run. This is has a cult-like following, and so people are definitely buying the dip on Airbnb. It is a very good company, one of the ones I do believe in, and one of the ones that I think will still make some parabolic moves coming into the next couple of weeks. So being said, I look for this one to continue up tomorrow. I am in this one still. I have a January call, so I have time. So this up and down isn't destroying my contract, or you could be in shares, either one. I talk about that. I look at the positions going into that particular position, what I'm expecting, and I expected a lot of rattling in here, so that's why I got a longer term contract. Again, I don't typically play weeklies unless I can see a clear pivot between either the EMAs or we have a lot of headroom. Then I get into shorter contracts at that point, because I'm normally intraday trading or swinging overnight at that point. So that's Airbnb. Facebook has been extremely parabolic. And so for me to bring this one up, it doesn't look the greatest here, but it is on strong support on the hourly. But on the daily, it still looks really good. And actually, it looks like it's retesting this wedge. So if it does open up tomorrow above this wedge here, I can see this continue to run. Facebook has got so much going in it. I think it's still undervalued even at 315. I know it seems like it's made this monster move and it's just overvalued, but it is Facebook and they got a lot going on. Mark Zuckerberg is doing something right there. Now, the next one I do got is Twilio. The daily, this is why I brought this one up. What I really would like is this to come back down. With all the support that's sitting here, all these EMAs pointing up, if we do get a pullback around the 364 mark, I know that's a 20 move back to the downside, but if we do get any kind of, which maybe Friday we can look at this one, but if it does come back and test this, that'd be extremely bullish to see these EMAs right underneath that candle. So pay attention to Twilio. Again, it's got tons of headroom. I think we can definitely make some room as long as we can watch that and see where that goes tomorrow in the coming days. Snap is the other one I got. Again, it's made a pretty parabolic move so far, but on the daily, again, same thing. If we can come back down to the 58.79 mark would be perfect. Get some longer terms going out to April 22nd would be great. Try to cover at least the earnings if you're going to play this. At least give it time. If you allot yourself time, you can definitely play a lot better if you do that. So that's Snap. Palantir is the next one I have. Again, this one finally broke out. I was waiting for this breakout. It's been taking forever for Palantir. Palantir, so if we do break above this 20 here and actually get a candle above here, so you want to stay above that 25 mark if possible. It did have a pretty big move today, but again, if we're looking for a retest, hopefully you want to see the support hold here. Hopefully get the EMAs right underneath. Again, really bullish if we can get that tomorrow. But that's what I'm looking for Palantir tomorrow. NNDM is one of the ones that has been beaten down a lot, actually down to $7. Something I've talked about for quite a while. But on the daily, it is at some major supports here and actually finally broke out of this wedge. You can actually look at this at another wedge. It could actually be creating another wedge here too, but it's sitting right here on the 200, which is solid support. It's bounced off it once. Once it actually comes out of here, we can have a really parabolic move, although you're going to have a lot of resistance here on the daily, so keep that in mind. But ultimately, I think NNDM is going to be a good one. U is another one that I do have. Again, another smaller wedge here, breakout. You're going to have some resistance, but something to watch. Ultimately, if we could get above the 108 would be perfect. But it could be something worth keeping an eye out for. NIO is the other one I'm looking at. NIO, same thing here. It's got this wedge. If we can get a daily candle above the 39.71, that'd be great. I think then we can start heading on up and start catching up with Tesla. I think it's only a matter of time. I almost tried to take this today, to be honest, after this bounce, because I looked like it was going to get ready to break and do this move overnight. I did miss it, which it looks like it's already starting to break. I tried to grab it here, but on this retest, but I couldn't grab it. It wouldn't come all the way down, so I did miss on that one. I will be watching this one tomorrow, though. And then finally, Datadog is the other one I have, which looks great on the daily. Right now, again, looks like a lot of these look parabolic. There was massive news going today. Everything was just kind of running. But on the daily, again, it broke out. If we can look for another retest here, again, same thing. If this candle comes down and gets retested by that 20 and the 50 coming underneath, again, very bullish at the 91.38 mark. So that being said, that is your watch list. That's what I got for you guys. There's some really good stuff, some really good setups. These are probably some of the cleanest setups I've seen so far, trying to capture those parabolic moves, trying to look for the laggers, look for the daily supports, and because I think we're really going to run, especially if we can get some kind of news tomorrow, determine what is going on with the banks. If we get positive news, I think we're really going to rip and roar. So with that being said, remember to manage risk. And until next time, guys, I will see you guys later.